past lectures, we have seen what is programming, what are different fundamentals of programming, like we have studied if else, different loops, functions, switch statement, and many more. In today's lecture, it can be a wind-up lecture here. We will see how are you being able to write a simple basic program or not. How you can write a simple program if any logic is given to you, how you can solve a real world problem using programming languages. So our goal of today's lecture is just to being able to write a program so that that can be used to solve any real world problem. So we have seen different examples using loop, if else, and many other. So how you can write a simple problem, how you can solve a problem using a programming language. The first thing that you can do is to identify the problem, that what is a problem. Later we will do some practical examples of it. Just like uh, you have a client and he wants you to make an application for his business. And now you can say that his business, he runs an online retail shop. So it's an e-commerce business, and your job is to design a website or a mobile application for him. So what you will do? First, you are going to identify that problem. You will encounter that what is the problem. Like the problem here is you have to design an e-commerce application. Now you have identified. Now how you will do that? You will research and explore that. You will research that how you are going to make that UI. What different scripting languages will be used to design that the UI of that. What main language uh, you will use. If you are going to design a mobile application for that, then you will use Java. And if you are going to design a website for that, then basically you use Python, JavaScript, Node.js, different libraries for that, or different languages for that. Then you have done a research about that. After doing research, what you will do, you will talk to the people, mean the stakeholders. Here the stakeholder is can be your client, it can be the team that is working under that project, it can be your investors. You will talk to them that I have decided this is my plan, and I am going to execute this, and this is the language which I am using this. And then after that, you will just then you have selected the language, you have analyzed the problem, you have chosen the programming language and the framework you want to do. Then you will do some brainstorming. Here the brainstorming refers to you will give a rough sketch of your reality, that what you are going to do, and what is your goal. Like you will design it on a paper, you will brainstorm it, you will just design the simple idea that this is my deadline, in this deadline I am going to do that. These are the different pages. If it is an e-commerce website, you will design a checkout page. You will have to ensure how the user will log in or authenticate. What are different libraries or techniques you are going to authenticate that user. So in this way, you will just made a clear plan that these are the path that I am going to follow, and in this way, I am just going to execute my plan. Then you will evaluate your that flexibility, if my plan is flexible enough or not. Whether it is budget, means you decide a budget for that, means you decide that in this budget I will purchase the domain name or the hosting for that. These are the skill set that are required, whether I can hire a person to do this job or not. So in this way, or if my plan is flexible or not. After that, you will design a prototype. Prototype means the rough sketch or a draft that before going towards the implementation of real project, you are going to design that prototype. So in this way, these are the steps that you are going to solve a real world problem. Now we will see a real world problem practically implementing. We know how to use if else, we know how to use loop, we have learned different functions here. Now our goal is to use a real world problem. We will take a real world problem and we will try to solve using a programming language. We have learned C++. So here we will use C++ to solve that problem. Now, you have learned about arrays. I told you to, I give you a set of numbers, right? And I told you to find out the maximum number, and then you have to print that maximum number. But you have here you also have to use the functions. You also have to use the arrays. Like here, if I say that you have to given a number, means given a set of array, and I told you to find the maximum number of that. How you will do that? So let's see, and we will implement this first and then take some other examples. Write a program for a retail business, point of sale business. I think I have discussed that before. So how you will do that? So that's why I'm going to take some real world. If there is any real world example in your mind and you want me to implement, then I will implement it for you. So if you have any, then you can write that and we will go with that. Okay. So first of all, we will write the basic library that we know that that is hash include. Stream, simple. Then we know that this is the modern compiler. So you have to write using namespace std and then semicolon. As we know that C++ is case sensitive. Case sensitive refers to that if something is written in lowercase letters, in small letters, in other words, then you have to write that in small case. And if something is written in uppercase, then you should have to write in uppercase. Like here, the main is written in lowercase letter. If I write the M of this main in capital letter, then my program will not execute. So it is case sensitive. So that's why mostly JavaScript and Python is preferred over C++. That was the first language that was after C that was developed. So it is the modified form of C. So, but now this is not widely used just because of this, because it is case sensitive, and you have to also take care of semicolons and all of these things. That's why mostly modern developers are mostly using JavaScript for their work, or Python is mostly used. So we have write the basic body of our program. Let's see if it is working or not, and then we will go towards our real implementation. So we have learned that this is the basic uh, program body that you have to write main function and with the data type, and then after that you just implement it. So let's run this first. So our program is compiling and it is working properly. So it is a good practice whenever you are going to implement a real world problem. First check that you have to write the basic program body, whether it is any other language or whether it is C++. Just check the basic program body that you have written is working correctly or not. Then go towards the real implementation. Now here we will initialize an array and we will write a function that will find the maximum number of that. And after that, we will update that array and find the maximum number. Here, what you will do, first in the main function, I will input an array. We have studied array or not? If you want me to give a quick review about array, then I will first give that quick review and then we will go towards the main implementation. Should I revise review that array for you? Okay, then I'm going forward. If you face any confusion or any problem during this implementation, then you can let me know anytime. So here I will initialize an array first, like I am taking the set of integers, and first you will write the int. Arrays are used to store data of same type. Like as I told that our processor don't have such enough space or memory to store the data. So that's why we use array if we want to store a large number of data. I told you can also store the data in the variables, but in variable at one time you can store only one value. But if you want to store a large number of values, then you need arrays. That's why arrays are used. Now, how you can initialize an array? First of all, you have to decide what kind of data you have. Means if I'm taking integers, means then you can write int. Then the name of array I will give it a double r or any name of your choice. You can write them. So first I will initialize array, and you don't know how many numbers you want. So you just give this square bracket. If you want only 7 numbers in your array, you can write 7 here. And if you don't know the size, means you don't know how many numbers I want, then you can just leave this bracket empty. Then you will have to put this equal sign. After that, with the curly braces, here you will write some numbers. Like it can be 10, whatever it is, you can write here like this. So my goal is to find the maximum number from this. We can say that now you are talking about how this is related to real world. For example, you are designing a program for an educational institute, and you want to design the result. You have to give the position to each and every student according to their scored marks. Here, you have to find the student who have the highest marks. For that you want to find the maximum score. So in this way you can relate to this. You can use that program for finding the highest marks of the student. Then the student that have the highest marks, you can rank that student at first place, and in this way the student who got second highest, then you can rank that to the second place. So in this way we are you can implement this maximum and minimum logic there. So now you have to check the size of array. What is the size of your array? Then I will in the variable size here. My variable size will contains the size of the array. Now, for finding the size of the array, we use a function called size of. It is a built-in function that gives us. Here you can find the size of the array. Now my array name is 8RR. Here you can write the name of your array like this. And then after that, you have to just divide that with the size of the first integer like this. We will also take some simple examples. If you find that this is some little bit complex or confusing for you, then I will change it. We will take another example if you feel confused or if you couldn't understand that, then I will switch this example to some simple one. So now we will take an other variable. In the first variable array, here I have stored the numbers which I have to, from where I have to find the maximum one. Second, I have stored the size. Why I have taken the size of the array, I will told you later. Now I have taken the size. Now I have to take another integer called maximum, because where I will store the maximum number. Then in this max, I will call a function. We have studied about functions. As many times we call that function, means functions are the block of code that we can reuse many times. So in this max, I will call this find function. We will design this find function outside the main. Here in this find function max like this. I will give two parameters. Means the array we are going to design. Then the size. Here you have passed the size and the name of the array. Clear? After that, you have to print the maximum number. Let me see out. The maximum number is like this, and then the max variable, and then and now you are getting confused. We hasn't find the maximum number, but we are just printing and displaying the maximum number with the return 0. Now, this is the basic body of the main function. The logic and the implementation of finding the maximum number will be uh, done by this find max program function. Now I'm going to design this find max function. Here we know that we are returning an integer, so that's why the data type or the return type of the find max function will be int, like this. Then you will write find max. Here you will get the parameters that you have just passed. Here you write the array. Here like this. And then the size that was that you are getting from the main function. So I will explain it later, so don't worry about that. Now here, after doing this, you will initialize another variable called maximum. In this maximum, you will take the first value or index value of this array, like this. Clear? After that, we here in the comment, we will write that assume it is the first element in the array. So comments are used to guide the other people what your program is doing. So I will run a loop here that will iterate over this array. Now you can see that we have studied both the loops and the arrays. Now I am combining and merging them in the same program. Here my loop will start from 0, means the index of array is 0 or 1. I will start it from 1 semicolon. Then after that, what we will write, our loop should less than the size. Then our loop will increment by 1 and we will enter here. After that, I say that if my array of I, means the variable or the value in this place is greater than the maximum number stored in an array, then what you will do? You will give, we will write maxi here because it is taking too long to write. You can write any name of your choice. It's not mandatory to write the same variable name as I'm writing. So you can write any name you want to give. Then here you will assign that value like this. And then you will return that max outside the loop here. That's enough. Then let's run this, and after that I will explain the logic behind this to you. Let's see if it is working or not. The maximum number here is 20. Let's check if 20 is the maximum number. So now how it is working, let me explain this to you. So my goal was to find the maximum number here. I was given, let's suppose these are students' marks, means you got marks of different students here. And your goal was to find the highest marks of the student. Clear? Now, how you are going to implement them? I have taken all the marks. So there are the marks of 5 to 6 students. So I know that if I take a single variable, just like this, I say that in X, store the marks of student 1. In Y, store the marks of student 2. Means you can write whatever the marks will be. In Z, in Z or Z, you can write the marks of student 3. Then it will take too long to write all the what if the students are 50 plus or 60 plus. Will you assign each marks in each variable, or or you are going to store each marks in separate variable? It will take too long to do that, and it will increase the line of code, and your solution will be not optimal. That's why we will use arrays here. The benefit of array is that we can store the data of same type at a single place. Here I know that all the marks are integers. The data is of same type, means their data type is same. They all are integers. That's why I initialize an array here. Here I give this array a double R name. You can write marks here. You can write any name here. This is the syntax of declaring an array. My array was integer, means I have all integers, so the data type of my array will be integers here. So I will write integers here, int here. Then I don't know the size of the marks, means the marks of the student can be 50 to 60. So if I am aware of that, I will write 50 here. What if you don't know the real size of that marks? So that's why I will leave this square bracket empty. This show that you can add as much as you can numbers. There is not limitation. But if I write something here, means if I write 10 here, it means that this array can store only the marks of 10 students only. Okay. Then why I need this size variable? So you should, if I told you to, can you calculate, can you tell how many numbers or entries are storing in this array? I can easily calculate that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What if there are 1000 plus? What if there are 2000 and many more? For that, I have to build that logic. Now you are thinking that why we have to learn the length of the array, why we want to know that how many entries are storing in the array. This is because we want to implement the maximum number. So that's why we also want the size of that array. For that, there is a built-in function called sizeof. Sizeof is a built-in function. There are two kinds of function. The first one is the user-defined, and the second one is the built-in. User-defined functions are those that are defined by the user. Just like me, I designed this function, this one. That's why it is called a user-defined function. But if the functions that are given by the language, that are called built-in function, just like main, cout. Here, the sizeof is a built-in function. What is the purpose of the sizeof function? It will give you the size of your array. It will tell you what is the size of your array. Simple. So in the variable size, I have stored the size, I have calculated the size of array. The syntax of doing that, you will write the size of operator, then the array name, your want and the size. After that, this symbol denotes division. Okay, the backslash in the programming language denotes division. If you want to divide two numbers, then you have to use this backslash. Then at the other end, you will write the first entry of this array. Means array entries are denoted by indexes, means locations. At 0th location, 10th is stored. At 1th location, just like uh, you have house numbers. Okay. If you are living in a street or in a town or a area, every house is given a number, the address. Similarly, the value that is stored in an array is given an index number. Like at the index 0, 10 is stored. At the index 1, 5 is stored. At the index 2, our 20 is stored. Then at the index 3, 8, and at the index 4, 5. And the most important thing is this, that array indexes are start from 0. Normally our counting is start from 1. Mostly you start. But the array indexes are starting from 0. So that's why the first entry is taken as 10 is at 0. After that, this is done. We have initialized an array. We have find the size of the array, means how many total entries are stored there. After that, now, second thing is to call the function which are made. We have declared this function. This is called function definition or declaration. Means we have designed this function here. This is my function definition and function declaration. Functions are useless until you call them. Now the question is why I am using this function. We can also put the same logic here in the main function and then we can easily execute that. The benefit of using the function is that you can call them as many times you want. Means I have called them once. I will create another variable and I will call them twice, as much as you can by changing just the variables here. So this is the logic behind using functions. After that, I have just call this max number. This max number will contains the value that is returned by this function. Any question till now? Now, see, I have called this function. Now I have to define the function. So, like this, you have getting the confusion that why I have write the array and the size here. This array and this size will go and store here. This array will denote this and this size is going to denote here this variable. This will store here. Clear? So after that storing here, we will take another variable max that will contain the first entry of this array. And you know that array 0, what is stored? 10 is stored. So in max, what we will have in the variable maxi, let's assume that we have 10. So here in ARR0, in the array 0, we have 10. Now I will run a loop. Now the question is why I am using this loop. This loop will iterate. This loop will scan all of these entries. It will start from 1 and now this is the use of the size and will end until the array is completed. Here the size will contains the number 5. Means you know that the size of my array is 5. Here the size is contain the number 5. And when the 5 times the loop is run, it will be terminated. Now, the loop I is equals to 1. Is 1 is less than 5? Yes. It will go inside the loop. Clear? It will check if array I is greater than max. Now array I, here the 1, we have initialized 1. I is going to store. So array 1, what is in array 1? Array 1 contains 5 and maxi contains 10. So you will check if 5 is greater than 10. No, it is not right. It will go back. Now I is plus plus means the I is incremented. Now the I is 2. Is 2 is less than 5? Yes, it will go in Now at array I means at array 2, it is stored 20. Yes, we find 20 here. Then you will compare, is 20 is greater than 10? Yes. In max, now 20 will be stored. 20 will be replaced by 10. Now in this variable, 20 is going to store. It will go back. I is plus plus. Now it is 4. 4 is less than size. Yes. 4 is less than 5. We will go there. At index 4, what is stored? 15. Is 15 is greater than 20? No. Still 20 will be there and we will come back. If 5 is less than 5, no. It is equals to the loop will terminate and the variable that is the value that is stored in max will be returned to this. Why we write return? This function will calculate the logic of maximum number and return it to this max variable here. Now here in the find max we have 20 and after that it will print this max. So in this way we will implement a real world problem using my own programming logic. What we have done, we have just combined our logics, like we have learned arrays. We know what are if statement. We have learned about for loop. So I can easily implement this. So any questions till now? If this example is clear, we have implement this means we have seen how to write a basic program to solve a real world problem. Now, there are different functions that are provided by C++ for your A's. Like the first one is the input output function. Cin. You are aware of Cin. If you want the data from user, you write Cin that reads the input from the keyboard. Then the next one is the Cout. Why you use Cout? Cout is used to display the data or display your result on the screen. We have seen. Then getLine. It is similar to cin. It is also used to get the data from the user. Then you are also aware of AND. If I want my next line to be, if my want my statement to be execute on the next line, I use AND. We have also implement that too. So like this, if I want to enter a number, if I want to get a number from the user, I will write enter a number and the Cin will get that. If we want to display, then I will write Cout. So this is how we can get that. Then we have some mathematical functions. Just like in calculator you got, if you are using a calculator, you know how you can find the square root, how you can find the power, how you can take a power of something, how you can perform your trigonometric functions. So C++ also gives us built-in functions. Means if a user entered 4 and he want the square of any number, then you can use this sqrt function. We will implement some examples using these functions too later. Then if you want to find the power of a number, then you can use this function, this one, to get the power of a number, exponential power if you want to take, then you can use this. Then strings. What are strings? Strings are the total sentence that is written. Look, this is a string that is written here. Clear? Or you can say that this is a string. What is the difference between a character or a string? If I write this is a character. If I write the complete name or complete line like this, hello world, like this can be a string. This is called a string. Now, there are different functions that is provided by C++ so that we can implement them on our strings. Like if I want to know the length of the string, means how many characters are there in the word programming language, then you can use the size or the length. It will give you the length or the size of the string. Then we have another function called substring. It is used to get us part of that string. Means I want this return from this, I want this turn from this return. Then this substring function will give me this turn, will cut this turn, just like we use cut and paste method. It will cut this and give me. Find is used to find if you want to find a substring or letter in the given name. This uppercase will convert the lowercase into uppercase, means if I give this character to this, it will turn into capital letters. The lowercase will convert into the capital into small letters. So these are all the implementations we are going to see now.